Ever scroll through your feed at 2 a.m., see a classmate post a photo of their new house, and wonder how they pulled it off while your credit card balance somehow doubled since payday? Do you lie awake thinking, "Am I the only one stuck treading water financially?" You are not alone. There is a wide gap between how many 30-year-olds feel about money and what their bank accounts actually show. In this video, we will cut through the noise and lay out the facts about where the typical 30-year-old stands financially, why so many feel squeezed, and what practical steps actually move the needle. First, student loans. This is not optional background. It is the starting point for millions. Estimates vary by dataset and exact age range, but reliable reports show borrowers in their mid-20s to mid-30s commonly hold balances in the low to mid-tens of thousands. One commonly cited figure puts the average for that cohort in the low 30,000s, while other analyses that include graduate degree debt push that average higher. The exact number matters less than the reality. Tens of thousands in education debt changes every decision that follows: where to live, whether to start a family, and how aggressively to save. Here is the practical hit. Monthly payments. Depending on repayment plan, interest rate, and whether someone picks income-driven options, monthly bills can range from a few $100s to much more. Many borrowers who switch to income-based plans see their monthly payment drop, but their principal rise because interest continues to compound faster than payments cover it. That is not theoretical. It happens to people who make steady payments and still watch the balance grow. That turns loan servicing into a stealth tax on your future self. A darker turn came when federal reporting of delinquent loans resumed and servicers started sending missed payments to credit bureaus again. The result was immediate. Millions of borrowers saw big credit score drops in a short period. Analysis from the New York Fed showed that a very large number of borrowers experienced declines exceeding 100 points as delinquencies rose. That is not a small ding. A 100-point fall can push someone from reasonable access to credit into a zone where mortgages, car loans, and even rental applications become much harder or much more expensive. The downstream costs of those score hits, higher interest, lost housing options, and even employment hurdles in some fields, are real and long-lasting. Credit card debt adds another layer. When reporters talk about a paycheck-to-paycheck generation, a lot of that pressure sits on plastic. Average credit card balances for millennials and people in their early 30s are in the thousands, not hundreds. Those balances are not usually from reckless splurges. They often come from adult costs with adult prices, car repairs, medical bills, childcare gaps, and rents in expensive markets. And the interest on that debt is brutal. Typical APRs sit in the low to mid-20% range. That makes $3,000 or $4,000 in card balances far more damaging than it looks, because interest turns a short bridge into a years-long burden if someone pays only the minimum. The math works against you unless you attack the balance, and many 30-year-olds lack the spare cash to do that. Housing is where the split from earlier generations becomes clear. Home ownership rates for people under 35 fell for years, and while there has been slight recovery in some places, they remain well below what previous generations had at the same age. Buying a home in many metro areas now requires a down payment that is multiple times what a typical 30-year-old could reasonably save. That is before you add mortgage rates, which are much higher than the low rates of the recent decade. The math is blunt. Median or average home prices plus a 20% down payment and closing costs push the entry bar into a range most renters cannot reach without years of sacrifice or family help. That is why so many people who are 30 and career stable are still renting in neighborhoods where rent eats 40 to 50% of take-home pay. The result is a large share of monthly income buying nothing that compounds in value. That lack of equity becomes a lost decade for many would-be homeowners. If you want one number that kills the mood in a room, try this: Fewer than half of Americans could handle a $1,000 emergency from savings today. Surveys show that less than half of people have the liquid cash to cover a $1,000 shock without borrowing. That means a flat tire or a surprise medical bill is likely to create immediate stress for most households. For 30-year-olds juggling student loans, high rent, and other obligations, not having a small emergency buffer is what turns every unexpected cost into either more debt or a pause in investing. Either outcome costs time and compound returns. Numbers can feel clinical. People are messy. So let us add faces to the stats so the stakes land where they should. Meet Emma. She is 30 and works in digital marketing. Her salary is $62,000. She has $38,000 in student loans, about $4,500 on credit cards from medical co-pays and a busted transmission, and $7,200 in savings. Her rent is $1,900 a month. Her employer offers a 401k match, and she contributes enough to get the match, but she is not saving more because after rent, debt, and basic bills, there is little left to redirect. She is not reckless. She pays rent on time, makes the minimum payments, and takes the job that fits her resume. Yet her balance sheet looks fragile. If she lost her job or faced a big bill, she would likely take on more debt or liquidate assets. That fragility is the story of millions of 30-year-olds who are making it in the headline sense, but have no margin. Then there is Javier, 31, a programmer earning $82,000. He chose modest lifestyle choices, a small apartment, no car payment, automatic investing into a total market index fund, and a freelance side project that brings in $500 extra a month. He has $22,000 in student loans and $12,000 in a brokerage account. He is not wealthy, but restraint and automatic investing build a base. When a month goes sideways, he covers it from emergency savings and keeps investing. He is protecting optionality. The gap between Emma and Javier is not intelligence. It is choices, timing, and the compound effect of small decisions repeated over years. Structural forces, higher housing costs, heavy student loan loads, high medical deductibles, and an economy that pays many entry-level roles less relative to housing than past decades, make life harder by default. But tactical differences still matter, and they compound. Let us look at common traps that make your 30s fragile. Trap 1. Treating raises as permission to upgrade everything. With each raise, expenses creep up and savings stagnate. Trap 2. Treating minimum payments as a plan. Minimums seem affordable, but they stretch repayment into years and cost huge interest. Trap 3. Thinking you can buy time by delaying investment. Delay punishes you because compounding is ruthless with time. Trap 4. Ignoring liquidity. No emergency fund means the next shock becomes a major setback. Now the arithmetic that should change how you budget. If you save $500 a month starting at 30 and invest it in a diversified mix that returns 6 to 8% annually, in 10 years that habit turns into roughly $80,000 to $100,000 depending on the rate. If you can push that to $1,000 a month, you shorten the timeline and significantly change the outcome. The lesson is straightforward. Consistent, automatic saving, plus modest, passive investing beats trying to time markets or chase high-risk quick wins. Indexing and discipline win. Here is the blunt truth about advice you see everywhere. Save X% of your income is useless without context. If rent takes 40 to 50% of take-home pay, contributing 15% to retirement is not realistic without a big change in lifestyle or income. That is why the first practical step for many 30-year-olds is not building a perfect portfolio. It is getting a clean, accurate view of cash flow. Track every dollar for 30 days. Then negotiate the 2 or 3 biggest recurring costs you can change. That usually frees up the money needed to start a real buffer. We also need to be honest about leverage and timing. Buying a house can still be a sound move, but place and timing matter. Buying into an expensive coastal city at the wrong moment can lock you into a payment that stunts saving and career flexibility. In many cases, moving to a lower-cost region for several years while you accelerate savings will build more options faster. That is not social advice, it is arithmetic. If retirement savings seem impossible because you cannot cover $1,000 today, start with micro wins. Build a $1,000 emergency cushion in a high-yield savings account. Then automate $50 to $100 per paycheck into a low-cost index fund. The habit matters. Capture any employer match first. A 401k match is free return. After you have small wins and a buffer, scale contributions when your income rises. There is no one-size-fits-all timeline, but here are realistic benchmarks. Save and invest $600 a month at an average 7% return, and you can approach a six-figure portfolio in about 10 years. Save $1,000 a month, and you are likely there in 6 to 7 years. These are not magic numbers, they are math. The sooner you start, and the more automatic you make it, the less pain you feel later, because compounding does the heavy lifting. A few structural realities to accept. Healthcare costs and deductibles put more shock risk on individuals than before. Entry-level wages, even with degrees, often lag housing costs in big cities. And policy shifts. Student loan program changes, tax code changes, interest rate cycles can shift the landscape and demand flexibility. You cannot control macro policy, but you can control liquidity, how much you rely on credit, and whether you build a portable savings habit. Finally, decisions beat perfect forecasts. People obsess over picking the absolute best fund or the perfect side hustle, while ignoring bigger levers, saving more, cutting costly debt, and automating investing. Those three moves create options faster than any speculative bet. If you are 30 and stressed, here are 5 plain next steps. 1. Track every dollar for a month. Find the leaks. 2. Build a $1,000 emergency cushion in a high-yield savings account, then grow it to 3 months of essentials. 3. Automate retirement contributions to get any employer match, then add a taxable account for flexibility. 4. Attack high-interest debt first. The APR on credit cards is a silent wealth tax. 5. Pick one way to increase earnings this year. Learn a specific skill, ask for a raise with a documented case, or move to a higher-paying role in your field. Here are quick, practical steps that people actually use to get momentum. Set up one automatic transfer a week, even if it is small. Use a single app to track recurring subscriptions and cancel the ones you rarely use. Schedule a quarterly review of your budget and pay down progress. Consider a targeted side project for 3 months and channel any extra income directly into debt paydown, and celebrate micro wins so the habit sticks. If this feels bleak, remember 2 things. 1. The system makes this hard for many, but being informed and disciplined gives you options. 2. The difference between people who struggle and those who do not is often a few repeatable habits. Measuring, automating, prioritizing debt paydown, and using raises to speed up saving rather than to increase lifestyle. Those habits compound. So when you see a photo of someone with a house or a flashy car, remember you are looking at performance. Photos sell appearance. They do not show balance sheets. The long, messy facts, compound returns, buffers, interest, and timing are what decide whether the next decade becomes one of growing stability or a series of emergencies. And one more point that many people overlook. Comparison is expensive. When you measure your progress against what others show online, it often pushes you toward decisions that hurt your finances. Upgrading a car too early, moving into a more expensive apartment, or taking on lifestyle costs just to match friends can quietly slow your financial progress for years. A better approach is to focus on your own numbers. Know how much you earn, how much you spend, and how much you invest each month. If those numbers move in the right direction over time, you are doing well. Your 30s are not about perfection. They are about building habits that give your future self more stability, fewer emergencies, and far more freedom in the years ahead. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more real, no-fluff financial insights. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts or money questions. We love hearing from you.